And then apparently it says that we are live right now, but let us check.
I always have to check my app. Yep, looks like we're live.
We're live. 2 people are watching right now. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Oh, okay. Yeah, we lost 2 people there for a second. I was like, okay, we just shut it down.
No one.
It's just a private book club meeting. It's
yes.
It's just
honestly, that's fine with me too. Like,
yeah, it's just a Zoom call,
right?
Yeah.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Comments.
This is
How's everyone doing?
Yeah. This is our second official meeting, but third meeting. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what to call it. What?
The first meeting was kind of unofficial.
Yeah, it was unofficial. It was like a prologue to our to our book club. So yeah.
Yes.
It's a good attempt. So anyways, thank you everybody for joining our live show today. We are going to be talking about our December book club pick, which is the best marquee. I think that's how you say marquee or Marquess.
I say Marquess just because that's how the British say it, but
okay. And then I searched it up and then they said marquee, and then I think like a viewer of mine commented on my video and was like, "Oh, that's not how you say it." And I was like, "Okay, fine." I'll just go for Marco.
It's all good.
Yeah. And it is by Nicola Davidson, which is one of our favorite historical romance authors, indie historical favorite romance authors. I really enjoy. Also, my internet shit. So if I start lagging and if I disappear, it's just a Rachel show. So she'll take over.
Just a one-woman show.
Yeah, just a one fucking woman show. And by the way, this is my channel, and I don't know why I'm just dropping mad curse bombs right now, like F-bombs everywhere. So this
is, I mean, come on, this is casual. We're just here to have a good time.
It's just casual. I just have a lot of pent-up anger about stuff. No, I'm joking. I like the book. The book
about work.
Yeah, it's just about work. Wait, hold on. If my boss is watching this, love my job, guys.
Yeah.
What? We don't say shit like that. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna throw it over to Rachel to talk about what the book is about, because I know she's gonna do a great job. And yeah, so
I try. So, well, first of all, I do want to point out that what I love about Nicola Davidson is that I think more and more of her books are being put on Kindle Unlimited. I wanted to throw that out there because I know the 2 books in this series, for instance, are now on KU. I think all of her Surrey Sexual Freedom Society novellas are now on KU. I think more and more she's adding more, just depending on like if they were completely indie published, or I think some of them were technically published through like a small indie publisher versus just self-published. But yeah, let's give a summary of the best Marquess. So this is a friends to lovers, ends up being a marriage of convenience, kind of forced marriage. Yeah, kind of
threw it in there.
But like also a pretend engagement. So there's a lot going on, but I'm just going to start with the very basic premise. So we have Pippa, who is a bespectacled Bluestocking, and her grandmother is on her ass to get engaged and to get married because, she's 20. She's going to be 21 soon. That means she's going to be an old maid if she doesn't get married soon.
Yeah.
And then we have Finn. They have been best friends for 16 years. And he is, at the beginning of the book, I think he's a Viscount. His father is the Marquess, and he's just terrible, awful. So we've got a terrible, awful dad, and we have a terrible, awful grandmother.
Yep.
And so Finn runs a pleasure toy business called Bliss. And they both read romance novels. And yeah, they've been friends for a long time. Finn has been in love with Pippa like the entire time that they've known each other, and Pippa has been, I think, oblivious.
Yeah. Very.
Like she definitely just like views him as a close friend, and meanwhile he's just like desperately in love with her.
Yeah.
And so because of Pippa's grandmother, they make this deal to go into a pretend engagement to get her off of Pippa's back, and things go on from there.
Yeah. And then they have to eventually get married.
Yeah, I think, was that maybe around the halfway mark?
Around the halfway mark. I think they were all like, they were just pretending to be engaged or pretending to be together in love, you know, happy. And then until something tragic happens and they are forced to tie the knot. But it was hot, it was steamy, it was fun, it was flirtatious. And I really liked how Finn was just in love with Pippa. Just like, I don't know, I just thought that was so cute. I love unrequited love when it doesn't happen to me, obviously, but
well,
like,
and I always appreciate it more when it's the hero that has been pining for the heroine, because Lord knows we've seen countless movies and TV shows and books where the heroine is the one pining, and I'm like, I am over it. I want a pining hero.
Yeah, and this one was good too because our hero is actually a virgin, but he runs like a pleasure shop, and he has this like really bad reputation because everybody thinks that like men are just like you know, just like sexual beings who just love sex. And then but he's just like, nah, I don't. Like, I just like pleasure, but like I don't want to do this. And I'm in love with my best friend. So
I know, I thought that was so funny that he's viewed to be this rake. Like, how did he even get that reputation? I think it's just because he's so nice and he just wants to help people. And so, like, all these women just flock to him because their husbands are shitheads.
Yeah.
And so they just like flock to him because he's so nice. And meanwhile, Finn is just like, I'm in love with Pippa.
Yeah, like secretly, but like, yeah, I'm in love with her. I like fell in love with her many, many years ago. And yeah, so it was great. I don't really have any like pointer questions. I don't know if you had anything prepared to talk about for the book.
Well, first things first, everyone, we agreed on our rating.
Yeah, we did. We did it. The most important part was that we agreed on the rating. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, but I took off 1 star. And I was talking to Rachel before we went live that it was probably for the same reason. But I think I took a star off was because like the main thing that I didn't like about this book was because everything could have been resolved very easily and quickly if they just all sat down and had a conversation. So like that was what like really annoyed me when like a lot of the issues happened, and I was just like, guys, just open the dialogue. Let's just talk it out. You'll be good.
Absolutely. There's a couple of reasons why I didn't give this 5 stars. For me, I think that Nicola Davidson truly excels at writing true novellas.
Yeah.
And this being a full-length novel, I think that for me, the pacing felt slow at times, but also like because it was a full-length novel, I feel like she just packed in so many plot elements that I feel like this book absolutely could have been edited better. Like maybe we could have taken a plot element out.
Yeah.
And just focused more on just their romance. I mean, we got plenty of sex scenes, but I mean, I can always have more. She gives us plenty, like more than enough. Yeah. But I think that had there been like 1 or 2 of those elements kind of taken out, because when you think about it, I guess we'll get into spoilers now.
Yeah.
But I was just going to bring up, there's the whole thing with Finn taking over the Marquessate. We've got that whole storyline. Then we've got this fake engagement turned into a
real marriage. Yeah.
Then we've got the fact that he owns this pleasure business and that all these men are up in arms about it.
Yeah.
You know, like all of these men of nobility. Then we we have the whole element of him having his half sister and his niece living in the house where Bliss is. Like, there's so much going on. There's just a lot packed in.
There was like an element of like suspense towards the end of the book too as well, and like it was like it caught me off guard because it didn't even have that many pages left in the book, but then all of a sudden we get like this whole hold up with a guy with a pistol ready to shoot someone, and then you know crazy things end up happening, and then it also sets up for a next book that is not even like announced yet, so we don't even know if there's going to be a book 3, and this is book number 2 in the Wickley Wed series, by the way.
Yeah.
And like, you know, there's spoilers, but then also like this book felt like we were missing a chunk of it because we didn't read book one, at least for me. Like, I felt like I was missing an element to the story. I feel like I would have enjoyed maybe like parts of the book more if I read the book number one, but I didn't. So I think that's like, yeah.
That's also another plot element that's added into this now that I'm thinking about it, because then there's that whole scene where Lillian's giving birth. Like, that's the heroine from book one.
I'm like, who are you?
Yeah, you're right. Had I read book one, yeah, I probably would have been more like emotionally attached to the characters as a whole. Yeah, there is a lot packed into this. And I think this book's under 300 pages. Like,
it's short, but it has a lot.
But like, it definitely is more than a novella. It's a full novel.
I felt like I agree with you in terms of the pacing. Like, some parts were like slower than the rest, but then some parts felt like we were going like 100 miles per hour. And I was like, where are we going? Because I don't know. And then I just kept going because I was just like, okay, I trust you guys. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that suspense element at the end, it did feel a little weird just because like I get that these men were upset about this business, but like, what? Like, we really went there with somebody brandishing a pistol about it, like, over it? Like, what? And then it wasn't until the very end that we finally learned who Georgiana's lover was. And the whole, like, that whole last section of the book, I was like, is she just not going to reveal this? Like, we were like waiting and waiting and waiting. And then I swear it was like the 97% mark.
Yeah.
And what was odd about that reveal is that usually with that kind of villainous character, it's somebody you know.
Yeah.
From like earlier in the book, but then it was just some random guy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So like, yeah. No, I agree. Like, okay, so like with my rating, I feel like I have to give like a warning. It's just like, it's based on enjoyment. Like, I thought it was strictly entertaining. I thought it was super entertaining. I thought it was fluffy. I thought it was sweet. It made me happy, and that's why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Will I be like, oh, this is like the best book that you guys need to read? Like, no. But it's an enjoyable read.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's also not my top Nicola Davidson recommendation. Yeah. Absolutely not. But yeah, like you said, like, it was fluffy, it was sweet, and it was incredibly sexy.
Yeah.
Like,
what else could it be? The hero owns like a pleasure shop. So like, it only makes sense for him to like know how to use the toys. So, and then also, this is not a historically correct historical romance for sure. Like 100%. Like, this is for pure entertainment. So if you're looking for like a vintage historical romance with accuracy, with historical accuracy, this is not the one for you. This is like the one that you'll look at and you'll like, you know, like the people will be grumpy about and like complain in the Goodreads reviews or the Amazon reviews. Like, this is not a Regency romance. Yeah, it's not. It's definitely something very modernized, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is I know that like Nicola Davidson, she posts on Twitter a lot about just like the historical romance genre in general, and how she is probably so used to getting these reviews at this point from readers being like, well, they didn't talk like that back then. They didn't use those words back then. And Nicola Davidson's like, yeah, they did. Like, I've done my research. Like, people were definitely using words like cock and pussy and fucking and blah, blah, blah. Like, that, where did you think that language came from? They were using it first before we did, you know? But it does feel very modernized at the same time. Yeah.
No, like, it's not even like the writing that I feel like it's modernized, but I feel like the toys itself, like, when were they invented? I didn't do my research, so I don't know. Like,
I think that there is historical accuracy to that. Like, I know the materials they were talking about, such as jade and leather.
Okay.
That from like the very little research I've done and I've seen, because I've read like authors' notes.
Yeah.
From other like historical romance authors, where if there were toys featured, they would like supply that research. Okay. And I know that those materials, like, that's absolutely historically accurate. But in terms of like how they were produced, like, I mean, I guess there were businesses like this.
Yeah.
That existed. I mean, how else would people have access to them? What's also interesting is that this same business is also the one supplying these translated erotic romance novellas.
Yeah. It's like a whole business.
Publisher. It's like a whole like part of his business.
Yeah. It's great. It's amazing. He's a modern businessman, really. He just knows everything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I felt like was a little bit modernized was like just like correct me if I'm wrong, but like Finn's sister, like half sister, is actually like bisexual, or she is like lesbian, like she's queer. So
I think she did confirm that she's bi. Like I remember her talking about like, oh, have you ever heard of people liking both?
Yeah.
And Finn was like, yeah, like that's
I really liked how open-minded he was and how accepting everything he was. But like I knew like, with like the older historical romances that we read, they definitely would skirt away from the topic or make it more like negative. But then now it's like more modernized. It's like, welcome.
Yeah, and that's totally like her style too, because she features even if her romances aren't queer, there are queer characters usually like featured, which I of course really love. A publication. Yeah, that makes sense. And I love that they both loved romance novels and they would both like quote them to each other. Like they would both like talk about their favorite scenes from these books. And yeah, that was
he was so like open to everything, and I liked him. He was a good guy. Like he's a good solid boyfriend, like a book boyfriend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. He's just a very sweet man. A very sweet man. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they had parties and
oh yes.
Yeah. Like so that's what Nicola Davidson posts about is like people being like, oh, this isn't historically accurate because nobody behaved that way. She's like, yeah, they did. It's just people weren't open about it like they are today.
Yeah, it's funny how back then it was more conservative, but then now we're more conservative with like the stuff in a way.
Yeah. Because I think people will always be butthurt over like
nice play.
Explicit books are like romance novel in general. Like I know there's always going to be those readers that they call it porn, or it's just like that just view it as like trash, or but like writing those scenes, that's an art form.
That is an art form. Like, was it like Katie Roberts or something that had like the actual? No, or was it Tessa Bailey? I don't know, but it was like an author that actually posted a picture of dolls that
Katie
they were
Roberts.
using. Yeah, so that they can like prove like these positions are actually possible, and like she had to like write it, and it's like it's hard describing.
Especially if you get to the point where it's more than two people, then it's like, well, how am I going to keep track? Of like, even me as a reader, I'm like, wait, where is everybody? What is everybody doing?
Like, how do I like, how do I like imagine it? But like, like,
yes.
I was like, what are we doing here? Yeah.
Right. No, it's an art form all in itself. And there are some romance authors who write amazing romances and then their sex scenes are just like, okay. But then there's other authors that you read from and you're like, oh my God, this was incredibly written, like so amazing. Like, yeah, it is absolutely an art form in and of itself, separate almost from just writing a good romance.
Yeah.
Like,
I like how this author just shies away from convention most of the time. Like she just writes what she wants to write, so it's always like really interesting and it's just always hot. Like this is like the one author that I just really like in terms of indie historical romance because it's so different from all the other historical romances that I have read.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think she's one of the few authors that I love that like truly writes like it's erotic historical romance. Like the erotic parts of it are just as important as the romantic parts of it. And like they're both like blended so well together. Like one doesn't overshadow.
Yeah, it's balanced.
Other. It's balanced very, very well, which I think is hard to do. Like I feel like most books that I read, one element trumps the other in some way.
Yeah.
So to truly balance the two is really great.
Oh.
Not
Boo.
Christian romance.
Boo.
Tomatoes.
Boo.
Oh God.
There was a book that I read today that was, I think it was like closed, like it was just like fade to black scenes, and it took me by surprise, but it was the Godparent Trap by Rachel Van Dyken, I think is what the title is.
Oh,
It's
I've read a couple books by her, and she doesn't usually write fade to black.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that one caught me off guard because I swear if I remember correctly, the audiobook was like all fade to black scenes, and I thought that was like really weird. But then like maybe like she's trying to write for a specific targeted audience that might not want steam.
Yeah, and
So
for me, it's gotten to a point that fade to black, like it reads as jarring to me at this
yeah.
point because to me it does stop the story,
Yeah.
like, and then we skip, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. Have you read any fade to black historical romances? I don't think so. I don't think I have. I think most of it has been just like we have a critical like scene, and then the rest of the scenes can be fade to black.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think most of yeah. Any fade to black that I've read, you'll get one sex scene, and
Mhm.
then yes, and then the rest of it are like very quick, or they're just straight up fade to black.
So Sarah Eden is a historical romance author that does fade to black?
I think
Ooh,
I think
okay.
there's an author, Mia Vinci, that she may not write fade to black, but I know it's very low heat. But I've
Okay.
heard like people rave about her. There's one specifically that's called A Beastly Kind of Earl. That's like a Beauty and the Beast retelling that I've heard amazing things about. But that's definitely like she, from what I understand, writes low heat romances.
Oh, yes, it does have oh, I think, like, who mentioned this to me? Was I don't know if it was you or if it was, somebody else. Yeah. No, a lot of our friends or a lot of our mutual friends have marked that as to read on Goodreads,
I
so
saw that, and Crystal gave it a really good review.
oh, yes.
She said it had like Tessa Dare like banter. That's
Ooh.
a buzzword for me. So like,
Oh my god, okay, so then that means I have to read it. I miss Tessa Dare so
oh
much.
my god, I know. What was the most recent thing I read from her? I think one of her like novellas or something, but it's like, yeah, I miss like the banter.
Mhm. The funniness, the romantic comedy of
Yeah,
historical
it's like
romance.
true rom-coms, like, and I was thinking about this other day too, like I can't name that many historical romance authors that write like true rom-coms that I'm like a huge fan of. God, I'm trying to think of who else comes to mind besides Tessa Dare. Like most people write more dramatic books.
There was an author that I read that was pretty funny. I think it was her name is Lisa Byrne, and she, like, it's really funny. I think it's funny. Like, there's, like, a lot of historical romances that I read from her that I laughed, but then it was, like, the plot-wise, the romance-wise, where it kind of fell apart for me a bit, so that's why, like, my average ratings for Lisa Byrne novels are always 3 out of 5 stars, but they like, in the beginning, is so funny. Like, I just start laughing a lot. One of the books that I read from Lisa Byrne that I kind of gave 4 out of 5 stars was The Redemption of Philip Fane, and that one was like it was like,
Groundhog Day, huh?
it was Groundhog Day. It was like Charles Dickens and, like,
Wow.
the ghosts of whatever, like, like the
Oh, Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol with Groundhog Day, and, like, it was, like, him reliving the same day over and over again because he's a really bad person, like, he's just grumpy, grouchy, cheap,
Ooh, that sounds
poor.
really good.
And then our heroine she's like, she doesn't wanna deal with him, and she doesn't know that the day is repeating, but she feels weird every single day because she's like, "Something's different. Like, why is it why does it feel weird?" And then he realizes, like, the only way that he can get out of the repeat is for someone to acknowledge him and recognize him, and he falls, like, madly in love with her, but then it's like every day sucks because she doesn't remember the day before, like, what they did. And so he's always trying to convince her that, he's the one for her. I
That does
like
sound really
the
good. I like her covers too. They're really pretty.
yeah.
Oh my God, the average rating is so low. 3.1.
I know. Okay, yeah, I know. It's like like I said, it falls apart. Like something about her books, it just falls apart. It's either it just gets repetitive, like this one, I understand, or like it just slows down. But yeah, it's really low. It's like 3.16.
Like all of her books, with the exception of one that I just looked at, has a 3.8. But
yeah.
all these other books have like 3.5.
Same with Megan Frampton. I feel like Megan Frampton's books are very low too as well.
I read one of her books. I think it was
Yeah.
Never Kiss a Duke, where the heroine's in a yellow gown. But I was so sad that I gave that 3 stars. And I was so sad that I didn't love it because like at the beginning, there were some kind of like Tessa Dare,
Yeah.
like bantery moments. And then, yeah, it just like fell apart and got really boring for me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. That's what happens. Yeah, I agree. Another author that I've read recently that I really like is Sandra Brown. She writes Western historical romances, but she only wrote a few. But I really like them. They're very good. Like they remind me of like Catherine Anderson, Annie's Song, with the one that I read, which was like
yeah,
Sunset Embrace. I really like that one. It was very fun.
I'm looking up Sarah Eden because Monica was.
I know. I have to put that on my radar. But like, which book would you recommend for Sarah Eden?
Yeah, what would be your top recommendation?
Yeah.
Lisa, what Nicola Davidson books or novellas have you read?
The Fallen series is the one that we really liked.
Yeah, that's still my top favorite.
Yeah, it was like it's exactly what you said. It was like hot scenes, but also balanced really well with the emotional side. Like I felt like all our characters were damaged at one point, and then they were like going through the healing process. It was so
good. I've read a few other things from her, but yeah, the Fallen series is just amazing.
Yeah, this is definitely true, Cherry.
I hate it. There's so many books where like the first half is like a 5-star.
Yeah.
And the second half, it just falls off. And I'm like, why?
And it's from authors we like too.
Yes.
That's what hurts the most.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Linda gave it 3 stars.
See, yeah, I see where you're coming from because in terms of like the erotica, maybe not, you don't think it's for you because this is one of her only full-length novels. I do think that maybe the ratio might have been a bit off in terms of how many sex scenes versus like, I don't know, the romance itself and like other plot elements. Like I said, a lot is squeezed into this book. I think she does a better job of balancing things in her novellas. Like I would still recommend that you try out her Fallen series. The first book is Seduction to Sin, I think. And then Devil's Submission is book 2, my personal favorite. And then the third one is Viscount Vice or something about Viscount something. But I would still recommend checking that out, even though you thought that this may not be for you, because it's different. It's just different in those novellas. The only thing I will say in terms of like them being so forward sexually is that they read a lot of smutty romance novels, and he owns a pleasure toy business. So he's very educated, even though he himself doesn't necessarily have the experience. He's educated himself. They both have. So,
yeah. Yeah, definitely, Alicia. It was a very fun read.
Yeah.
Super fun. And I'm going to go back and read book number 1 sometime next year, I feel like.
Yeah, I probably will at some point go back and read it. And hopefully book 3 gets announced soon, because that was like a weird cliffhanger ending.
Yeah, it was so weird. I was like, what is happening? What is next? And then we got on the studio and we were talking and you were saying like she didn't even announce it yet. And I'm like, what?
I know.
Did she just leave a book like this? Like,
I know.
Confusion. I have not read any Sandra Brown contemporary novels yet, but a lot of people recommended me to read some of her romantic suspense novels, and I have them on my radar. So I'm very intrigued. Is there such a thing as too much slut?
The only time that I will say yes to that question, which I know is too much slut, the only reason why I would ever say yes is when there is a novella or a novel where the author didn't do a good enough job of getting me emotionally invested in the relationship. Then I don't give a shit if they're having sex. I don't care.
Like, unless I walk in with the expectations knowing that there is no attachment, supposedly. Like, you're not supposed to make an attachment. You're just in there for a fun time. Because I just read a novella from Katie Roberts. It was like the Grumpus holiday Christmas one where it's only like 15 pages and it's just straight smut. I just knew what I was walking into. I enjoyed it. It was fine.
Yeah, and I feel, and Katie Robert to me always does a good job of like setting up the scenarios, whether I don't know how to explain it, but like there's a way that you can set it up to where I still care, even if it may be a one-night stand situation or, you know, just physical between the two of them. There's a way to like set it up to where I care, and then there's a way to set it up where I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
These people, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And then for Sarah Eden, this is the recommendation, I guess, the Lancaster Family series.
Oh, fun.
Okay.
I'll have to look that up.
We're going to have to look into that. Wait, hold on. There's a part 1 to this message.
No, I mean, that is, I agree. Like, because sometimes, like, the romance, then the pacing is off of the relationship if they have sex very early on.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, then, I don't know how to word it. Like, sometimes if they have sex too early on, then it's just like, oh, okay, that took out all of the tension. That took out all of the, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I agree with that. If it's too early and then it's just like all the time and there's no variation, I'm like, I'm bored. Like, like what?
Especially since like we're romance readers and we've read so many romance novels, like it can get boring reading.
Oh yeah. And I will say this book, she served the variety in all of the sex scenes.
Different location, different toys used, different like who's dominating who.
Yeah.
It's switched up a lot.
Very well done. Yeah.
Lots of dirty talk too as well, which I was a fan of.
He's amazing at writing dirty talk. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I love it. God, my bangs are just flying everywhere today. It's fine. We're just gonna put our hands here. I'm just like try to stop it. But yeah. Any historical romances that you're planning to read before the end of the year?
Oh, I do. So I really want to read. This is one that you recommended.
Oh goodness, I'm scared already.
No, it sounds so good.
Okay, which one?
Christmas.
The Lisa Byrne one?
No, this is Anna Harrington.
The one where she has like a messed up leg and she doesn't believe in Christmas anymore.
That sounds so good.
I think I gave it like a 3 out of 5 stars.
But you recommended it in your like icy heroines.
Yeah.
And then I also really want to read The Duke and the Lady in Red by Lorraine Heath. Because I remember, Jess specifically, I remember like she said that this book like made her cry, and she like never cries.
Oh,
reading books.
I completely forgot. Oh man, I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars.
Oh really?
Yeah, so we clearly did not agree on this one.
Yeah. And I'm currently reading Marrying Winterbourne by Lisa Kleypas. So now I'm slowly working my way through the Ravenel series.
What's your rating for this one so far? Or like, what do you think it's going to be?
Well, I gave Cold Hearted Rake 5 stars, and nobody gives that book 5 stars. I personally really loved it. And so far, I think I'm like 40% into this. I think this has the potential to be a 5-star as well, but so far we haven't gotten enough of Helen and Reese, just the two of them by themselves. There's been a lot of like other factors kind of getting in the way of their romantic development. So I just need more of that content of just like the two of them bonding.
Yeah. Well, I read that series already. It wasn't my favorite series from Lisa Kleypas, but I gave the first 2 books, Cold Hearted Rake, I gave it 3 stars, and then Marrying Winterborn, I gave it 3 stars too as well.
A lot of people give Cold Hearted Rake 3 stars. A lot of people do. So that's not a surprise to me. See, a lot of people hate the heroine, and I liked her.
Wait, why do people hate the heroine?
A lot of people, because I liked her. I'm trying to think of like why people hate her. I think because of the way there's some situations and the way that she reacts can be viewed as like rash and like a bit much. And like, like I feel, and some people don't like the hero either, Devin. But I was here for it. I was here for the whole time.
Cherry read the Anna Harrington book that we were just talking about, and I agree. She was a very tough cookie to crack. She's a very strong heroine who was just very, very grumpy.
Yeah, I'm excited because I love a grumpy, icy heroine. And I love like when there's a sweet hero or a sunshiny hero.
And there's kids. Okay, I think that's like that's why I recommend it too, because it was like he was so determined to bring like sunshine back into her life. And then also there's the kids that were involved that like tried to like decorate the whole house and make it look festive for the holidays. So that was nice.
Yeah.
And then I have this one, the Duke in a Box anthology.
I did see that.
I never read it yet. Did you?
Or no, I haven't read it yet. But of course, like the marketing and the cover, I was like dying. That was so funny.
Yeah, I know. And one a day sounds like the best plan. Get the anthology done.
Yeah.
And Monica loved Marrying Mr. Winterborn.
Yeah, I mean, Reese is a wonderful hero. Like, I'm already obsessed with him. So I understand why everybody loves that book. Well, most people do. At least most people just really love Reese, and that I understand.
And then Linda agrees with Jess that it will tear you up. So
yeah, because I know that there's like plot elements that are like gonna be very heavy. Like I know that the heroine, she's like a thief, she's like a pickpocket, I think. And I remember that I think she has a sibling who is mentally disabled. And so I think that's what really gets to people is like her trying to take care of her sibling or something like that. And then like the Duke is just like hopelessly in love with her or something. But I'm hoping to start that really soon because I have the audiobook borrowed off of Hoopla and that loan is running out soon.
It might make it to your best books of 2022 if you can finish it this year.
I know, yeah. Quickly. I'm excited.
Yeah. And Monica does not like the heroine.
A lot of people hate her, and like I understood her, and maybe I related to her, and I don't know what that says about me, but
seriously, no. Yeah, I get you. I don't like. Okay, so sometimes I don't like heroines who are too messy. Like they don't really know what they want to do with their lives. They do like silly mistakes and things like that, and I like don't really like them. But I secretly think it's because it's too resemblance of like me, and like I go like, okay, I see something in you that I don't like, and that's why I don't like you.
Yeah. And I think some people do view that heroine as being maybe a bit messy and like maybe she flip-flops a bit in terms of like having an affair is basically what happens with like her and Devin. They start having an affair because she is the widow of his distant cousin. So she's still in like her mourning period and he never wants to get married, of course, because he's a rake. And so like that was the whole thing of like her, I guess her flip-flopping between wanting to be with him and not. But like, I don't know. I completely understood her motivations and her reactions to things, but that's just me.
Yeah. And then the Wallflower Wager, I did not like it. I'm so sorry.
So that's another one that as much as I adore that book, I do understand why people don't like it. I think there's a couple of elements that are a bit off-putting.
Yeah.
Because like, I know there's that whole scene. I personally thought this was absolutely hilarious. The whole like goat birthing scene, but it has nothing to do with the romance. It's just like there's a goat giving birth, and like the three heroes are helping this goat.
Yeah.
And then also there's that. I mean, this is a spoiler content warning for The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare. The whole thing towards the end where it's like, oh my God, like she's dealing with like sexual trauma from like her relative, and like, oh my God, I feel like that got kind of heavy, like out of nowhere. But yeah, I mean, but you might have different issues, but I'm assuming those are your issues. I don't know.
No, I think my issue was that I just didn't feel the chemistry between our two characters when we first met on the scene. Like I felt like they were just way too different, and usually the dynamic usually works for me when he's like the strict rule follower and she's like the loosey goosey person who has a bunch of animals and it's like ruining things. But like I don't know why. I just didn't like this one, and I felt like the banter may have like didn't live up to my expectations for a Tessa Dare novel for me personally. I don't know why I felt that way. I just remember vividly buying that book in like Montreal when I was on a trip with my friend. And then I was reading it on the bus home. And it was like a 6-hour like bus ride home. But I was reading it and I wanted to like stop the bus to throw the book out the window afterwards. Cause I was like, I don't like it. And I just forgot because the trip was so long ago. But I was just like, it makes me sad. Yeah. I'm sorry, Cherry. I just like shat on your book. Like
that book, I just feel like maybe also it is very different in a lot of ways from like all of her other books. Like there's a vibe that's very distinctive, and maybe it doesn't work for a lot of people, but I personally really love that book. It's not my favorite of the series. Duchess Deal is like my like all-time favorite historical romance ever, but it was still like a really fun time and just ridiculous because of the animals and like, you know, like all the shenanigans. For me, The Governess Game, I wasn't quite convinced of that romance, but the kids saved that book for me.
Wait, what saved that book for you? Like what saved it?
Rosamond and Daisy.
Oh.
The two kids that he's taking care of.
Oh, yes. The kids always save it. I don't know why. I love Tessa Dare's kids. They're just so freaking funny.
And they were like so morbid.
Yeah, I just fucking love them. I fucking love them.
Yeah. And then the kid in Do You Want to Start a Scandal?
Yeah. Murder, like something, whatever he's like yelling out, and then like it's freaking hilarious. I was like dying when I was.
She knows how to write funny kids.
Yeah,
she really does.
I have a feeling she may have some funny kids. Maybe, I don't know.
Probably.
Okay, so favorite Lisa Kleypas series. Well, I started with the Wallflower series. I never finished it actually. Ooh, spoiler.
What books have you read from that
book
series?
Number 3, which is Devil in Winter, and book number 2, It Happened One Autumn, and then I just never read Scandal in Spring and the other one.
I don't think you need to read Secrets of a Summer Night. That was a very lackluster book for me, but I do recommend like 2, 3, and 4. Like I really like Scandal in Spring because we have a sweet pining hero, and the heroine is kind of like, I don't know about you. But she's also a very like quirky and sunshiny heroine as well. So it's like interesting that she doesn't. Oh, I think because she views him as like a wet blanket, but like, he's just actually very sweet and just like is obsessed with her. So it's a fun time. I like. See,
like the reason why I didn't finish that series is because I know I'm just gonna freaking love it so much, and then afterwards I just like have nothing left of Lisa Kleypas that I know I'll love.
And I did enjoy A Wallflower Christmas.
I heard a lot of people like that one.
Yeah, because like, if you love the characters of the series, like you're gonna enjoy that novella. You know? Like it's just a fun time. There is a romance in it, and the romance is a bit rushed because it's a novella, but like it's also just so cute and wholesome because we see all the other Wallflower characters like decorating for Christmas. And things
they're just all together. I love it when old characters we've fallen in love with come back and they make little cameos and stories. So
well, and I love with that series, I feel like I fell in love more and more with the characters, like even after their main book. Like I think that I love like Westcliff and Lillian, I've like fallen even more and more in love with them as they make cameos in other books, because they make cameos in like the Hathaway series as well.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I love how Lisa Kleypas incorporates these characters and like makes you attached to them. It's a fun time. For me, my personal favorite series is the Hathaways series. Because I love the five, it's the 5 Hathaway siblings. I love them with my whole heart. All of the love interests, I'm a huge fan of as well. I think I gave all those books 5 stars.
I'm gonna put on a headband in about 5 seconds. All right, I put it on. New things.
Go for it.
Okay. With the Hathaways, like I enjoyed it, but it wasn't. I feel like I was hyped too much. Like people were hyping it up.
I think that series is way more hyped than like the Wallflowers.
Yeah, like everybody is like swooning over the hero in the first book in the Hathaways, and I read it and I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars because I'm just a hater, I guess.
Lisa the hater, everybody. She just
I'm just a fucking hipster or something, and I just don't like what
you just have to be different, right?
Yeah, I just have to be different. Like I'm like the different spice person. I'm the annoying girl. No, but the one that I thought I would like was just Seduce Me at Sunrise, because our hero was like super grumpy and like he was always like the protector of like the whole family. I don't know why it didn't live up. I think I set myself up for failure, overhyped it for myself, ended up giving it a 2 out of 5 stars.
I think I actually had the opposite experience with Seduce Me at Sunrise, because so like everybody hypes up Mine Till Midnight, and I did really, I did give it 5 stars. But going into Seduce Me at Sunrise, like everybody was like, oh, it's not as good. It's not nearly as good as Mine Till Midnight. So I went into that with like low expectations, and then I ended up really loving it just because of like, oh my God, the angst. Yeah. And, between the hero and heroine, and like how they love each other, but he doesn't want to show it. And like, she's still recovering from her illness and, all of that and stuff. So that one was like an unexpected favorite for me. I actually didn't love the 5th book, Love in the Afternoon, because the pacing got slow for me. Like,
let me double check. Love in the Afternoon. Love Me in the Afternoon. I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars.
Like I gave it like 4.5 stars, but to me that's like,
I
gave all the other books 5 stars. So I was like,
the worst out of the best.
Yeah.
Good, but it was not living up to everybody else.
Yeah, everybody loves Love in the Afternoon and loves Christopher the hero, and like I think that book was like very hyped up for like in my mind. So going into that 5th book, I expected it to be my favorite. And then reading it, I was like, wait, I don't love this one as much as the other ones, but it's interesting how expectations can like kind of shade the way that we end up feeling about these books.
Yeah. Like I thought I was not going to like Married by Morning, which is book number 4 in the Hathaway series, because our hero was kind of like weird and he just was like he was drinking and he was not romantic, and I was like, I don't really trust you. But he turned out to be like such a sweet cinnamon hero who had like, I think if I remember correctly, like a dark past too as well, and I just sympathized with him a lot and I loved him.
Well, with that book too, his romance was a long time coming, because we saw in book 1, Mine Till Midnight, he was like killing himself. He was drinking all the time, and he was still mourning the loss of his first love, his fiance who passed away, I think from scarlet fever or yellow fever, if I'm not mistaken. And
did he have survivor's guilt? Like he had it too?
Yes, he did. And I think a lot of people in the village got it. And so she passed away from it. Yeah. And he was like, why not me? And so, he was like drinking himself to death. And then at the end of that book, he had that like ghostly, that was weird.
Yeah,
like,
that was weird. That was a weird one.
Yeah, that was like, whoa, what is happening right now? So then building up his character, and then when we're introduced to Catherine, I think by book 3. And so that was just so built up for me that I loved his book too. Like I loved the dynamic between her being like a buttoned up governess and him just being this rake, like hopelessly in love with her. Yeah. It was a fun time. I really, really enjoyed it.
So we have Lawrence, who said Cold Hearted Rake was saved by the Helen Winterbourne's sickbed scene.
Yeah, because their romance is incorporated into that book too. And I made the mistake of trying to read Marrying Winterbourne first because I just assumed that these are all like complete standalones, and they're really not. Like they are interconnected.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of context that I was missing while reading like the first 20% of Marrying Winterbourne. So I literally paused the audiobook and I went back and read the entirety of Cold Hearted Rake to get the full context. So it was really, I love that sickbed scene. Yeah, that was wonderful.
And yes, I understand this because we like books where we feel like we connect with the characters.
Yes, that's why Grumpy Heroines, Sunshiny Heroes are like some of my favorite. Like that is probably my favorite trope, my favorite romance trope. It usually serves, you know.
Mm-hmm. The Duchess deal was their favorite, made them fall in love with the genre. So nice. The governess game is also good. Yes. Those little girls.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah. Do you want to start a scandal? Yeah. I love this one. You gave it 4 out of 5 stars, right? Or 3?
That one, yeah, like I still enjoyed it, but I'm interested to see what I'd think about it upon reread. Because
oh my God, if you do it, I would love it. And watch how your rating goes lower.
It might go up because I've reread some books like recently, and my rating at first was 4 stars, and then I bumped it up to 5. Like a couple of Joanna Shoop's, like her Uptown Girl series, my ratings changed for those books.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do a video of your rereads, or have you already done one already?
I might do one where I reread some of Tessa Dare's books because I do think that some of them I might end up loving more. Upon rereading. And I think that's one of them. For me, reading that one for the first time, for me, it felt slow at times. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm wondering how I'll feel upon reread. My opinion might change. We shall see.
Yeah, I did not really like the Ravenel series. Yeah, I feel that. It did for me, it had a lot of misses. Like towards the end, I was just like, bro.
That's what I've heard. So I'm trying not to go into these books with very high expectations.
There was one that I could not stand. It was book number 4 called Hello Stranger. I just could not stand that one. Like I just
whose romance is that?
Let me see. It is.
I haven't heard many people talk about it. I don't like the cover. I'm not a fan of it.
I think Lacey just like heard so much bad things about it that she skipped the whole book. But Garrett, Gibson, and Ethan. Garrett is like a female physician, and then Gibson is the male hero. Oh. I mean, Ethan is the male hero. Yeah.
I think we were just introduced to her character in Marrying Winterbourne.
Okay. Yeah, I think she's
I think both of their characters. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And then
I know a lot of people were disappointed by Devil in Disguise, book 7.
Oh. Yeah, because it's like Devil in Winter, you know? It's like, it's hard.
My favorite Lorraine Heath is The Earl Takes All.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was messy, but I love
messy and angsty and plot twists and like Lorraine.
I was not expecting.
Oh wow!
I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Mine was Once More My Darling Rogue because she's like an icy princess.
I really liked that one.
Yeah, and then she got her just desserts by losing her memories, and then the hero is like, okay, you're my maid. You don't remember? You're my maid. And then like forces her to do all these like chores around his house. Loved it. I couldn't keep the siblings and the Hathaway straight. I was confused and had to keep going back to the earlier books. Oh, yeah, that's true. Is there a map in the books? Like, is there like a family chart or anything?
But I think it's easy to confuse Beatrix and there's another sister, and I'm blanking on her name. It's easy to confuse those two. But the other 3 siblings, I can keep them pretty clear in my mind. But yeah.
Leo's book was Monica's least favorite. I think that was like, I enjoyed it. I
like that one, but I wanted the hate to love. I wanted the hate part to last a bit longer in the book. I feel like their animosity kind of dissolved a bit too quickly, but I still enjoyed it. Still enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah. And then Abigail talked about rom-com, similar vibe to Tessa, Darren. Yeah, I agree. And Sophie Jordan's novels, I feel like they're really lighthearted, very funny.
Yeah, I usually have a good time with Sophie Jordan.
It's a hit or miss. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. What you're feeling.
I will say they're very readable. Like they're very accessible for like people that are new to the genre, don't really understand the time periods or whatever. Like I feel like her novels are like very easy to read, very easy to get into. But they have been a little bit hit or miss.
Fave Sarah MacLean book. Okay, so this is an author that, no offense, I'm sorry, I just kind of stopped buying her books because I just know I just don't like her books. So I just stopped reading her.
Have I given any of her books 5 stars? I think I've given maybe one of her books 5 stars, but her writing style is not my absolute favorite.
Yeah. It's a little slow for me.
The way she writes her angst maybe isn't my cup of tea, I think. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I'm open to trying her newest series because I've heard pretty positive things, but at the same time, I'm not like dying to read them.
Mm-hmm. They're not my first choice.
Yeah.
Is Breaking Case of Emergency. Yeah, that's true. You gotta save it. Because like once you read everything, when you have nothing left, you gotta wait. It's painful.
Mm-hmm.
Love the bathtub scene in The Earl Takes All.
Yeah, that's just through and through. And that book actually made me cry at one point. Yeah, that
it's
book,
very emotional. She does a really good job.
It's very emotional, and she does a good job of writing that kind of subject matter. And I also really loved Between the Devil and Desire, which is the one with the red cover. That's in her one of the St. James series. It's the earlier series, but that was a 5-star for me.
St. James.
Yeah, I think so. That one was a 5-star for me because it was Jack the hero. He like owns a gambling hell. And oh my God, I loved that. Like there was a hate to love, and I feel like the heroine kind of had an icy vibe to her. Yeah, that's a wonderful, wonderful romance. Yep. She's talking about Married by Morning. Yep, that was an issue that I had, absolutely. But I still ended up loving it.
So true. I guess, yeah.
Sometimes it goes on. Something about like the pacing. And I remember the very first Sarah MacLean novel that I read was the one, it has a gray cover. It's a gray cover. It's like One Good Earl Deserves a Lover, maybe, something like that. And I remember being so taken aback that they didn't kiss until like the 70% mark.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I didn't like, okay, so I read, which one was the one that I read first? It might have been in her, okay, let me see. In her The Bare Knuckle Bastard series, maybe like the first book in that series I read, and I just did not like it.
I gave it like 3 stars.
Yeah, exactly. I was like so turned off. Wicked and the Wallflower. No, I didn't even read that. I lied to you. I read Brazen and the Beast, the second book in the series, and I gave that 3 out of 5 stars. And then I read 9 Rules to Break When Romancing a Rake, which is like a very, very, very popular book of hers. But I still gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
That one, her early books I actually have enjoyed. Because I liked 9 Rules to Break, and I really liked 11 Rules, the third book in that series, which is we have like a starchy duke and a very like bold and brash heroine. A really great hate to love dynamic between the two of them. But yeah, I don't think I've really loved. I did end up giving The Day of the Duchess 5 stars. That's her Marriage in Trouble one, but that one I still had conflicting feelings about it, but I also like just loved how that one was written. But usually I don't love her books. I don't love the vibe.
I don't like it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like not historical romance related, but Sophie Lark. I want to.
That's historical fantasy. It's historical. I'm gonna read it at some point, but I always wait for her audiobooks because he does a really good job of casting narrators for her books, so I'm waiting. I'm definitely going to wait, but I will read it at some point.
And I think because she's so popular nowadays, her audiobooks will come faster with time. Yeah. So that's a benefit for famous authors because now, more accessible to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like less and less people talk about her books too, like her new series.
I don't know anyone who's read.
Maybe Crystal. I feel like maybe
Crystal is like her newest book. Yeah, maybe Crystal read it, but I don't know anyone who's read it. Yeah, anybody else? I know. Yeah, I know some people who have like just straight up stopped reading her books for one reason or another, and like I understand.
We talk a lot, but Bombshell actually has, which is her latest series, the Hell's Bell series, actually has 9,000 ratings on Goodreads. So a lot of people are reading it. It's just we're not reading it.
Interesting. That's a lot of ratings for a historical.
Exactly. But then Heartbreaker drops off. Like we have under 1,000
I think though she has that podcast.
Oh, never mind. It doesn't. It has 4.3K.
Oh, okay. But I think because she's got the Fated Mates podcast, I think that's how she gets readers. That's like a big reason why she probably still has a lot of readers. Because I know a lot of people really enjoy that podcast.
Yeah, Crystal read it. Christy too as well read it. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna read it. I stopped buying the series.
Yeah, I'm just kind of, if I'm not excited about it, chances are I'm not going to read it because I'm not going to want to read it.
Yeah, it's only like for like when I'm really desperate. Like I read everything available at the library, and I'm like, okay, might as well just pick up this one.
Yeah. Oh my god!
What happened with Joanna Shoop? That is like on the edge of her seat. What happened with her?
Well, because The Duke Gets Even is coming out in January.
Oh.
So that's the last book of the Fifth Avenue Rebels series. And I know Lisa and I, we talked about like having that be like our February book.
Yeah. I've read book number 2 and book number 3, but I did not read book number 1.
I didn't read book number 1 because everybody, nobody literally nobody I know has given it more than 3 stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has a low average rating too, huh? Like,
yeah, 3.4.
That's very low for her because most of the time, her books are very popular. Yeah, my favorite Joanna Shoop is The Lady Gets Lucky. Yep. Book 2 of the series.
Agreed.
What have you read by Joanna Shoop? I've read a good chunk of her books at this point.
Me and Joanna Shoop has been I enjoy it, but like it's not like my favorite. So I've been giving The Bride Goes Rogue. I gave that 3. A Notorious Vow. I gave it 3. And then let me see what The Lady Gets Lucky. I think The Lady Gets Lucky. I gave it a 3 too as well.
Oh, okay. Are there any that you've really enjoyed?
What?
Are there any that you've really enjoyed?
No, I think those are the only 3 books I've read, and I've only been giving it 3. But with that being said, I think it's because it's the Gilded Ages, or is it called Gilded Age?
Yeah, Gilded Age.
Yeah, so I don't think I like it, but I did ended up listening to an audiobook, and I was okay with the accents, like the American accent. Because usually I like Regency romance novels that are set in like England and Britain because then it transports me back to that country. But then like when I hear an American accent, it feels like it's a contemporary romance novel sometimes.
Yeah, I would still recommend that you check out her Uptown Girl series. Okay. So that's the series with the Rogue of Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
And The Devil of Downtown is my favorite book of that series.
Okay.
Yeah, I because I think it has kind of a different vibe to the Fifth Avenue Rebels books. So yeah, you might enjoy that more.
Okay. I do have the book, so I will be reading it in 2023.
Yay!
Because that's what the new year is for.
Mm-hmm. I know, I'm already making my 2023 TBR.
I've been Well, my TBR is just whatever comes in the mail because I pre-order a lot of the 2023 books and then I just forget about it.
And then it's like a nice surprise.
Yeah,
when
it's
you
like a little gift. It's past me rewarding myself for whatever I did in the past. Yes, good job, Lisa. You deserve it. She struggled with writing the first one. Aw.
Yeah. But
So
book
Lawrence
2 on for me has been like home run. But yeah.
Yeah. And Lawrence before was talking about being excited about the new series, but the characters are interconnected, so you have to read the books in order. Okay.
Oh,
Now we know.
Now we know.
Now we know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's all that I have for this little meeting. And I enjoyed talking about all the other romance authors that we also read to as well, other than Nicola Davidson.
I could always just go on and on about historical romance.
Yeah. It's a genre that I haven't been reading in the recent 3 weeks, though. I've been only reading, like, holiday romance novels and contemporary romance books. Yeah. And you've been reading a lot because you just mentioned that you're in the middle of them books right now.
I've been reading a lot of historical romances, but, like, I'm dying to get into the holiday romances now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, especially contemporary ones on my TBR. And then I'm in the middle of my reread of Kingdom of Ash.
Wow.
Which is like 1,000 pages. So
yeah. It's thick. It's a weight.
That's gonna take me a while. I'm just making myself.
Are you doing audiobook and book too, like you normally do?
Yes. Yeah. The first time I read the series, I only had the physical books, but now having the audiobooks, like it's a completely different experience. It's like so more even accurate. Better. Even better. Yeah. It's very, very, very well done. And then I know we talked about having our January book be A Wicked Game, right? By Kate Bateman.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
Have you read the other 2 books?
I've only read the first book in the series, and then the second book, A Daring Pursuit. I keep borrowing it from my library and then returning it, borrowing and returning it, because somebody keeps putting a hold on it and I have to return it. I'm like, you're so annoying. Just let me hold on to this for 40 days, please.
Yeah. That book is even better. And as much as I enjoyed book 1, I love A Daring Pursuit. That book was so good.
A Reckless Match, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So I have high hopes that I'm going to enjoy A Daring Pursuit too as well. So I can definitely like read A Daring Pursuit, and then we can have A Wicked Game for our January group pick. Oh, wait, is it January group pick?
Yeah, January. Yeah. So that book's coming out December 27th.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it comes out, I always like put a hold on it, like the audiobook from my library. I really like her audiobooks. They're very well done.
Yeah. And I can sacrifice Audible credit to get the audiobook right away. Just I love sacrificing my credits for like actual like committed books though.
Yeah.
Forces me to read it on time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We'll just have to come up with a date though and everything. But
we do. We'll figure out the date and we'll post on our social medias, and because we gotta align some schedules. But last question from Abigail here. I have not read Legendborn series by Tessa.
I read Legendborn. I liked it. I didn't love it, so I don't feel the need to continue on with the series. But there were some elements that I really loved. But I'm also not a fan of King Arthur retelling elements. Like I don't give a shit about that story. So like that's one of the reasons why it didn't like speak to me. But I did think it was unique and interesting, and I understand why people love it, but I didn't absolutely love it. So yeah.
Well, thank you for everyone who joined our live show today discussing our December pick. And join us next time for our January pick. And this is going to be on Rachel's channel. Yep. Yay! And then also like all our social media links are down below. Or Rachel's social media links are down below in the description. So go make sure to follow her. Check out her singing because she does an amazing job, and she posts videos now on Instagram with her singing. And she's very talented. So freaking talented. So good. Anyways. All right. We'll see you guys soon.
All right. Bye. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.